Tim Walz just had an incredible interview on Good Morning America where he not only backed up Kamala Harris, but also shut down the constant attacks from Republicans. We have been excited to watch Walz rise up to the national stage, and this morning he showed us that unlike JD Vance, he is the steady professional candidate that we need as vice president. Walz was interviewed about a wide range of topics, from the economy, to the Electoral College, to Kamala Harris's foreign policy, and as always he handled them masterfully. On the economy, for example, he explained how he and Harris's goal is to spread the word about their economic plan, and more importantly, the dangers of Donald Trump's. Governor Walz was also pressed about the timeline mix-up about his visit to China. Republicans have been attacking him constantly for this since the debate. However, Walz kept his cool and just explained that he had the wrong month when he was talking about his trip, and that he was only using the experience as an example. He went to China on a cultural exchange and service trip in the National Guard, and he wanted to make a point that understanding other countries is a key to diplomacy. He didn't just stay on defense though, he also attacks conservatives for their harassment of him and his policies, stating that he has been elected in Minnesota offices 8 times because he continues to pass legislation that people actually benefit from, unlike MAGA leaders. He also noted that Minnesota has risen up to be ranked top 5 for businesses and top 3 for raising a family in the United States. Finally, he left with a jab at Trump, saying that he and Kamala Harris won't be keeping dictator friends on speed dial. The best point of all, however, was when we got to see Walz remind Americans of the state that Donald Trump left the country in 2020. Just take a listen at what he had to say.
Vice President Harris was asked this week on The View if she would have done anything differently than President Biden that he has done in the past 4 years. And she said, quote, "There is not a thing that comes to mind." And she later said she would have a Republican in her cabinet.
Yeah.
And when it comes to President Biden and the presidency, would you or do you see anything that you would have done differently?
Yeah, and look, as a governor, I was asked to be governor of this state when Donald Trump was president and when Joe Biden was there. And I watched Donald Trump dismiss the COVID pandemic. I watched him drive an economy into the ground. And I watched Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pick those pieces up. And I think for all of us, we make decisions, we reanalyze afterwards. I think the thing that drew me to this ticket, and I think what the vice president's talking about, is that her values on these hasn't changed. They have been working for the middle class. They've been doing all they can to make sure prices come down. They're protecting reproductive care.
So it makes me want to ask you, do you think that Biden's done everything right?
Well, look, I don't know if any of us do everything right, but I can tell you he's done everything in the best interest of the American public.
Walz is absolutely correct here. No politician is going to be perfect, but with leaders like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we can be sure that the White House still has the best interest of the American people in mind. Tim Walz easily showed us today that he is the perfect fit to be vice president, and if you agree, be sure to leave a like and comment below.